What's up guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about the engines that everyone trusts, the ones that get recommended in every forum, every comment section, every used truck buying guide on the internet, the motors people specifically seek out because of their reputation, and I'm here to tell you that some of that trust is dangerous, because every single engine on this list has a real documented weakness that the reputation hides, and when you're spending your hard-earned money on a used truck, you deserve to know the full picture, so let's get into it. 5. Toyota Tacoma 3.4 liter V6, 1995 to 2004. Basically sacred in the truck community. And look, the reputation is earned. Plenty of these hit 250,000 miles without breaking a sweat. But there's one problem this engine is known for that buyers consistently overlook because the reputation is so strong. Head gaskets. The 5VZ-FE runs hot, and over time the head gaskets can fail and leak internally. The tricky part is it doesn't always present obvious. You're not gonna see white smoke or a puddle on the ground. It's subtle, slightly low coolant over time, a faint sweet smell, maybe a little moisture on a spark plug. And because everyone assumes this engine is bulletproof, buyers skip the check entirely. A head gasket repair at a shop is $1,500 to $2,500. If there's been overheating and the heads are warped, that number goes up fast. Also worth knowing, and it's an interference engine with a timing belt due every 90,000 miles. If you can't confirm it's been done on the truck you're looking at, factor that into your offer immediately. Great engine, but don't let the reputation make you skip your due diligence. 4. Cummins 5.9 liter 24 valve, 1998 to 2002. The most worshipped diesel engine in the truck world. Guys pay serious premiums to find trucks with this motor, and honestly, the tunability and longevity of this engine justify a lot of that praise. But the 1998 to 2002 24 valve has one component that is a genuine ticking time bomb, the VP44 injection pump. This pump fails, and when it does, it usually fails with zero warning. Runs fine one day, won't start the next. The pump relies on fuel for lubrication, so if you run the tank low regularly or there's any restriction in the fuel supply, it wears out faster. Replacement is $800 to $1,200. But if the pump fails dirty and sends debris into the fuel system, you're into a full high pressure fuel system flush. That's a much bigger number. The solution most knowledgeable Cummins owners install is an aftermarket lift pump to keep consistent fuel pressure to the VP44. A lot of trucks from this era still don't have one. If the one you're looking at doesn't, budget for it on day one. Legendary engine, just know what you're working with before you buy. 3. Ford 6.7 liter Power Stroke, 2011 to 2014 first generation. And here's where I need to be specific, because the second and third gen versions of this engine, 2015 and newer, are genuinely excellent. Strong reliability, well sorted, great track record. The problem is the first generation, 2011 to 2014, and because the 6.7 name carries so much weight, buyers sometimes lump all of them together without realizing the early trucks have a meaningfully different reliability profile. The biggest issue is the EGR cooler. The first gen design was prone to failure, and when it fails, it can allow coolant into the intake. EGR cooler replacement runs $1,500 to $2,500, and some owners have dealt with it more than once. The variable geometry turbo is also worth watching on these early trucks. The vanes can stick and carbon up, especially on trucks used for a lot of short light-duty trips. Stuck vanes mean either a massive boost spike or complete boost loss. The fix is simple. If you want a 6.7 Power Stroke, just target 2015 and newer. You get the same great engine with most of the early problems ironed out. Don't let the nameplate alone sell you on a first gen without knowing what you're getting into. 2. GM 6.2 liter V8 L86/L87 2014 to 2018. And yes, I know I covered the GM 6.2 in the last video for DFM lifter failures on newer trucks, but this is specifically about the 2014 to 2018 window that buyers seek out thinking they've avoided that whole mess by going pre-DFM. Here's the problem. These trucks still have active fuel management, the older cylinder deactivation system, and AFM has its own documented lifter failure issues. It's not as widespread as the DFM disaster, but it's real. Same result: collapsed lifters, camshaft damage, metal debris. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when and how many miles are on the clock. On top of that, the timing chain guides and tensioners on higher mileage examples can wear out. If you hear a cold start rattle on one of these trucks, take it seriously. A full timing chain job is $2,000 to $3,500 at a shop. The 6.2 is still one of the best naturally aspirated V8s in a full-size truck, but buyers who think they've completely sidestepped GM's cylinder deactivation problems by going 2014 to 2018 are often surprised to find AFM was already there the whole time. 1. Toyota Tundra 5.7-liter V8, 2007 to 2021. I fully expect this to be the most controversial pick on the entire list, and honestly, I get it. Because on the surface, putting the 5.7 Tundra on a list like this feels wrong. This is the engine that truck enthusiasts point to when they want to prove that Toyota belongs in the full-size segment. It's the motor that built the modern Tundra's reputation, and that reputation is not entirely undeserved. I want to be clear about that up front. There are documented 5.7 Tundras with 300,000, even 350,000 miles still running the original engine. The bottom end of this motor, the block, the crankshaft, the rods, is genuinely overbuilt. Toyota engineered this thing with serious long-term durability in mind, and it shows. If you just look at raw longevity numbers, the 3UR-FE holds up with the best of them, but here's the reality that the reputation consistently glosses over. This engine has two well-known recurring issues that affect a huge percentage of these trucks, and because the overall image of the 5.7 is so strong, buyers either don't know about them or actively dismiss them, and that combination of ignorance and blind trust is costing people real money every single day. The first issue, and this is the bigger one, and is the secondary air injection system. This system exists purely for emissions compliance. On a cold start, it pumps fresh air into the exhaust stream to help the catalytic converters heat up faster and reduce emissions during warm-up. It sounds simple. In theory, it is simple, but the air pump itself and the check valves that control airflow are notoriously failure prone on the 5.7, and they tend to go well before the 100,000 mile mark. When they fail, you get a check engine light, usually a P0410 or similar air injection code, and a repair that runs anywhere from $800 on the low end to well over $2,000, depending on exactly what failed and whether you're going OEM or aftermarket. Now here's what really tells you how widespread this problem is. If you go on any used car listing site right now and search for Tundras with the 5.7, you will find listings, especially in California and other emissions-heavy states, that specifically call out secondary air injection system replaced as a feature. Sellers are advertising it like it's an upgrade. That's not a coincidence. That's sellers knowing that informed buyers are gonna ask about it, so they get ahead of it. When a known failure point becomes a selling point, that's how you know it's everywhere. The second issue is cam tower oil leaks. The upper end of the 5.7, specifically the area around the cam towers where the camshafts sit, develops oil seepage on a lot of higher mileage examples. It's not a catastrophic failure. The engine isn't going to throw a rod because of it, but it is an ongoing, messy maintenance issue that can get worse over time if it's ignored. And on a truck with a pristine reputation, it's the kind of thing that catches buyers completely off guard. When you're looking at a used 5.7 Tundra, get under the hood and look at the top of the engine carefully. Look at the back of the valve covers. If you see fresh oil residue, dried oil streaks, or any kind of buildup in those areas, you know what you're dealing with. Factor it into your negotiation or walk away depending on how bad it is. And then there's fuel economy, which doesn't get talked about enough when people are singing the praises of this engine. The 5.7 gets around 13 to 15 miles per gallon in real-world mixed driving. That is genuinely bad. Not just bad for a modern truck, but bad by the standards of full-size V8 trucks from its own era. The Ford 5.0 and the GM 5.3 both do meaningfully better in real-world conditions. Over the course of 100,000 miles of ownership, that fuel economy gap translates into thousands of dollars in extra fuel costs. It's not a deal breaker for everyone, but it's a real cost that buyers often don't factor in when they're chasing the Tundra name. The other thing worth saying is that because the 5.7 Tundra reputation is so powerful, these trucks are consistently overpriced on the used market. Sellers know what they have and they price accordingly. You will regularly see 5.7 Tundras with 150,000 miles listed for more money than comparable full-size trucks from other brands with half the miles. And because buyers have been told this engine is bulletproof, they pay it, often without getting an inspection, often without checking for the exact issues I just described.